welcome everyone who may not know me. I'm Michelle from Elegance Enchantment. It's a creative lifestyle blog. So I'm really nervous to be doing this. I kind of feel weird because I'm sitting in my bedroom feeling like I'm talking to myself, and I even kicked my cats out so they wouldn't be walking across the screen, so I'm very alone. So I'm gonna ask you guys as much as you can. Comment, ask me questions, so this will feel more like a conversation and less like me giving a presentation. Oh, thank you. Yes, I need words of affirmation, please. Thanks, Lauren. So today I thought my first Periscope, it would be good to talk about kind of how I got my start in blogging and graphic design and my business. I sent out a survey to my amazing readers just a few weeks ago, and one of the questions I asked them was, if we had the opportunity to have lunch together, oh my goodness, lots of hearts. If we were going to have lunch together, what would you want to chat about? And I had a bunch of people say, I just want to know how you got your start. So figure that would be a good one to get started with. And if this goes well and I'm feeling confident enough to do more Periscopes in the future, I'll tackle some of your other questions that you asked. I got a list of about 50 of them. So let's get started. So I'm gonna kind of just go through my journey. Thanks, Lauren. Lauren says that she was excited to hear this. I'm gonna break it down into 3 portions. Thank you, Laura. The first part is going to be talking about kind of my journey into graphic design, how I got started with that, and then I'm going to go into how I started blogging, and then I'm going to end it with how I started my business. So this will be more of a discussion and not just me presenting my story. I'm going to start with this question for you guys. When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up? I'm just curious to hear. I kind of always knew I wanted to do something with art, not necessarily graphic design. So curious to hear what, you don't have to tell me what you do now as your career, and I know everyone kind of changes as they go. I've been telling this to my sister Laura, who's here, that just because you major in something in college or say that you're going to do this doesn't mean you can't kind of revise as you go along. So, question for the new people who, Caitlin said that she wanted to be a vet. That makes sense. Caitlin has an adorable little bunny named Cody. Anyone else want to share what they wanted to be? Holly says, I remember wanting to be a teacher when I was a kid. Laura says a secretary. That's funny. I didn't know that. Anyone else want to share? All right, well, I'll tell you guys, when I was younger, a mommy, and Lauren says she wanted to be a missionary, a librarian, and a graphic designer. Something to do with handwriting, colors, doodling, retired teacher, now barista at Starbucks. Ooh, fun. Doctor, always a mom. Good job. It's the best job out there, right? I'm just a kitty mom, but it's a good job. I'm proud to hold that position. So when I was younger, I also, I think, wanted to be a teacher at some point. I wanted to be a writer, I think, which is kind of a joke now. If you've read my blog, you know I have like grammar mistakes all over the place, but I always loved art when I was a kid too. My 3 sisters, rock stars, amazing athletes, and I always make the joke that they sucked all of the athletic genes from my gene pool because I got nothing. I'm the worst athlete ever. I want to thank you guys for saying I'm a good writer. That's what friends are for. Oh, one thing, sorry, I'm gonna back it up for 1 second. Anyone who's new to Periscope, who hasn't done a broadcast before, you're seeing these little hearts pop up, which is awesome. If you like something that I'm saying and you don't want to like type something out, just double tap your screen and that makes that little heart explosion. Woo! I feel like I'm in like I Dream of Jeannie right now. All right, so back to childhood, sucking at sports, but pretty good at art. I get the art genes from my mom, who's also an amazing artist. Not that I'm amazing, she's amazing. So I, would draw pictures and started really getting more into art when I was in middle school. I started taking art classes outside of school, and oh, yay for art, other artists in the group. And when I was in high school, I started taking basically every single art class that I could. And, when I was thinking about this last night about what I was going to talk about, I was thinking, I really, really hated gym. And I wish that I could have like swapped that gym class out for another art class, because there were ones like fashion design that I didn't get to take because I like kind of maxed out what they allowed in my schedule. So I was still continuing to take more art classes outside of just my regular school curriculum, and I actually ended up working at my art studio as well. Not my art studio, Mrs. Margiata's. And I guess my title was like, non-practicing artist busy with babies now. I hear you. That's why I started my creative challenge, because even though a graphic design is like such a big part of my life, the actual art aspect, like unless I make it a point to do it, it just doesn't happen. So, and I know with a kid, it must be even harder. So yeah, I was kind of like an art teacher, but really most of my job was like washing paintbrushes and helping the kids out if they needed help mixing colors and that kind of thing. So, so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do when I went to college, I had taken one graphic design class in high school. They offered it and I loved it. And I was, not to brag, but I was good at it. I think it's one of those things when you are really into something that it just kind of comes naturally. So, sorry, tea break. So I started, when I started college, I went in, I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer. That was my major. My College of St. Rose. Kaylin says she wishes she had taken graphic design class in school. Well, it's not too late. Hop on Skillshare. I mean, Kaylin has a great artist's eye, so it's never too late to try new things out. My program was awesome. The thing that kind of like separated it from other graphic design programs was they started us out really focusing on foundations. So for the first 2 years of school, we weren't even allowed on a computer, even though we were graphic design majors. Everything we learned color theory and composition, and they even made us learn how to do things from hand the way that like old school graphic designers did like in the 50s, which at the time seemed like, why are we wasting time doing this? But now looking back, I think it's the coolest thing ever. And of course, hindsight is 20/20. I want to go back and do it again. So went through all 4 years of graphic design at my school, the College of St. Rose in Albany, shout out. And I ended up getting my first job working as an assistant art director in healthcare publications, which was not exciting. It's about as exciting as it sounds, not exciting. I did that job for about 2 years, and I was just feeling like this is not fun. The people who have been here have like been here forever. No one's going anywhere. There's like no room for growth. So I started looking for other opportunities, and I ended up finding my second job, which was for Nielsen. Oh, Kara says it's gotta be fun. I know, it does. So I started working for the Nielsen company, the same people who do Nielsen ratings, but they had a division that was in publications for meeting travel planners. It's kind of like a specific industry, but I was kind of doing the same thing as I did in my first job, which was designing magazines and newsletters, except now at least the content was more based around travel, which I was a lot more interested in. Much more pretty pictures and just kind of like the atmosphere was better. I was working in New York City, which is always fun. So I worked there until my husband and I moved to Connecticut about a year after we got married. My husband got a new job. He used to work at ESPN. So we moved up to Connecticut to do that. And Connecticut is close to New York, but where we were in Connecticut was about 2 hours away. So wasn't going to be able to commute anymore. So they were kind enough to let me work remotely, which was awesome, kind of a dream come true, except that it lasted about a year before layoff, and it finally caught up with me and I got laid off from that job, which was a bummer. That's never fun. But if you've heard stories about anyone who got their start, so many of them start with, and then I got fired from my job. I don't know if any of you follow Pat Flynn. Any Pat Flynn fans out here? He's like coolest entrepreneur guy out there. If you're not following him, hop on it. It's a treat. His story also started off with him getting fired. So I feel like I'm in good company. Kaylin says yes. I know, fellow Pat Flynn fan, we're like groupies. And Holly says she loves Pat Flynn too. So, sorry, this is going like way longer. I'm going to try to breeze through the other ones faster. So when I got laid off from my job, you know, my husband and I had only been married, I think, a year, and, you know, we didn't have a ton of money, and I'm like, all right, I need to find another full-time job. I can't just sit around. So I started searching around to see if I can get some freelance opportunities, and I did a couple of random freelance jobs, and of course what ends up happening, the reason I got laid off from my job was they had sold off part of the company. So what ended up happening was the new company hired me back as a freelancer. So I was pretty much doing my old job, but just on a freelance basis, which was great. They were paying me well, and it actually like made much more sense for what I did. So much of what I did when I was working in the city was, you know, with the magazine industry, work really hard for like 2.5 weeks, and then you'd have like a week and a half where you were kind of just twiddling your thumbs. So I think that the freelance arrangement worked a lot better for me and for them. So with that newfound time, I started designing wedding stationery. I designed the invitations for my own wedding, and then started doing family, friends, and then friends of friends. Oh, we have Ari Bella just joining from Jamaica. Awesome. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So I started designing wedding stationery, and then I started doing it for people I didn't know too. And it was going pretty good. But there was something that was missing from growing that business, and that was a blog, which is going to bring me to the second part of this. So if you guys have to go, the next two sections, I'll try to make it faster, but please don't feel bad if you need to bow out. So my question to start off the second section is, do we have any bloggers in the group? I know we definitely do. Other than the 3 that I know, Lauren, Kaylin, and Holly. Lauren says she loves the dramatic transition coming up next. So the bloggers that are here, I'd like to know, A, if there are any other bloggers. Yes, we have some more. Kara, Brooke, what year did you start blogging? Because I kind of started my journey around, Holly says yes, I think it was around 2009, 2010. Red Eye Baker says, contribute to, don't have my own yet. Talk about dramatic, yet. I see that coming soon. Kaylin says 2012. Lauren, 2012. Brooke says 2014. Kara, early adopter, 2006-ish. Awesome. Okay, so. And Holly says started in 2011. All right, so I kind of have a weird way that I got into blogging. Question number 2 for this section. Do we have any fans of the TV show Lost in the group? If my sister Laura is still here, I know we have at least one. Any other Lost fans? Brooke says, of course. Seeing some hearts. Laura's dancing, yes. Lauren says yes. Okay, so you guys will know, if you're not a fan of Lost, if you've never watched it, this show is just, yes, Holly says she watched all of them. This show was just completely consuming. I started watching it, and it was probably not the first show I binge watched, but one of the first. And I just became so obsessed with it. And I would talk to my husband about it all the time. And then when I got my sisters and my mom into it, I would talk to them about it all the time. But that it wasn't enough. I needed more people to talk to about it and to hear what other people's theories were and just to figure out what was going on. So I discovered podcasts. Any podcast fans out there, people who listen to podcasts, I'm seeing some hearts. Okay. So, one of the first podcasts, Ari says yes. Lauren says woo woo. One of the first podcasts I started listening to was, and Kaylin says addicted to podcasts. They are very addicting. Podcast obsessed. Last show I binge watched was Friends. That's a great one to binge watch. Cozy night at home on the couch. Friends, yes. So I needed to get my Lost fix. I downloaded every single Lost podcast that there was. And one of them was done by this couple in Kentucky, Cliff and Stephanie, and they started building this entire community just around the TV show Lost. And they loved podcasting about it so much that Cliff, the husband, ended up quitting his job, like his stable full-time job, and started podcasting like as a living. And now, this was almost 10 years ago, but now he's known as the Podcast Answer Man. I don't know if any of you have heard of him or not, but you can find his stuff at gspn.tv or podcastanswerman.com. They don't know who I am, so I'm not trying to like plug for them or anything, but I've kind of been like following. Lauren says she wishes she known that there were Lost podcasts. Yeah, but it was a big time sucker. I mean, I was really into this. So Cliff and Stephanie don't know who I am, but they've really been like instrumental in changing my life, because I started following their journey of being a small business, growing from just having this passion, which started as Lost, but ended up turning into having a small business and kind of teaching other people how to do what they were doing along the way. So they were really real, and it wasn't like someone up on a soapbox saying like, this is what you should do and this is how you should do it. It was a lot more about kind of learning as they went, which I really connected to. So Cliff and Stephanie, if you ever watch this, thank you so much. So through them, they had recommended that they had read this book called Crush It. And this was like the other huge thing that happened for me in starting my blog. If you haven't read Crush It, it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's not that big of a book, so it's definitely readable. If you have your own business, or Lauren says she needs to read it. I was gonna show this book as like a little prop, but I've like lent this book out to so many different people. I don't really know where it is right now. I don't think it's here, and I don't know who has it. So if you haven't read Crush It, if you're ever thinking about starting a blog or a business, or just want to read about how you have different options in life, that you don't just have to like have this 9-to-5 and be miserable and then, retire when you're 65, you can make it there. Oh, it's Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not going to try to spell it. It's kind of hard to say and spell, but if you just go on Amazon and Google Crush It, it's a black book with green writing on it. This is the book that changed my life. So basically, the premise is Crush It tells you that if you have a passion about something, it can be anything. Oh, Kara says it's in her cart. Awesome. I hope you like it. Oh, we got another thanks. You're very welcome. Basically, it says that if you have a passion about anything, it doesn't have to be something that you're talented in. It could just be that you're into a TV show, that there are people out there in the world, on the internet, but people in real life who share the same passion as you, and that you can build an entire business around that concept of just, it's just a matter of connecting with them. And the best part about it is you're just being yourself, which is really what grasped me. I always like hated like salespeople, and like, you know, you'd see things pop up, ads on websites that said like, oh, make money online, and it was all so spammy. And I would just, I don't like salesmen in real life either. So I just really grasped onto this concept that you can like be yourself, connect with cool people, and make money online. I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm doing this. I'm starting to blog. So what did I blog about when I first started? Oh, Lori's back. Hey, I started blogging about my invitations, my wedding invitations, which I just, when I first started my blog, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And just the blogging world was a little bit different then. So I had an extremely slow start. Once I started kind of like getting out there into like the wedding blogosphere, I found Style Me Pretty, which is kind of like the wedding blog. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, read it, but it's beautiful. It's like a time sucker. If you go there, you'll just look at tons of pretty pictures all day. So when I found Style Me Pretty, I was like, this is really cool. And I could tell that they were like a really successful blog. And instead of just blogging about wedding invitations, I'm like, I'm going to do what Style Me Pretty does. I'm going to start showing pictures of like other people's weddings. So I signed up for this service called Too Bright Lights, and it's kind of like connects photographers and publishers. So I would have all these photographers submitting their weddings to me, and then I would publish them on my blog, which was great. I mean, it was really fun. I got to look at lots of gorgeous wedding photos, connected with some nice photographers, and it went along well with my wedding invitations. I wasn't really doing a ton of promoting through the blog, which now looking back was a waste, but it was a learning process. So I did that until about 2-ish years ago. And then I realized that I was kind of like, something was missing. And I kept going back to that, what Gary Vaynerchuk from Crush It said, what Cliff and Stephanie had said, and all these other people that I had been following online that said like, you gotta do what, like, where your heart is what you should be doing. And by that point, I've been married for like 5 years, and the whole wedding thing, I mean, this is right around the time when one of my sisters was getting married. So not that weddings weren't present in my life, but I was just kind of like over it, to be honest with you. Not completely. I mean, weddings, I always find joy going to weddings, looking at wedding photos, but it just wasn't something that I was super passionate about anymore. So what I did was kind of return to my graphic designer roots, and I knew that that was something that I'm like in for the long haul. I'm not gonna ever stop being a graphic designer. I tell my husband this all the time. I'm gonna be designing until I die. I'm not gonna retire. I'm just gonna keep working. So my blog shifted focus to focus more on graphic design. I started sharing printables and fonts, and I think I know this sounds weird, but when those first couple of years when I was blogging about weddings, I didn't really make very many connections. And maybe it's because I felt kind of like inadequate in the wedding space. I mean, I wasn't really like a wedding planner or anything. Other than being a bride, I didn't really have much experience. But once I switched over to blogging about graphic design, I felt a lot more like, I don't know what the right word is, confident, I guess, because it was something that just came so naturally. And it's like, I always say, like, being a graphic designer, it's a lifestyle, it's not a job. So it was just me being myself. And oh, cute emojis, Lauren, I like them. It really helped me to like actually, after 2 years, like put myself out there, connect with some awesome people, and I started meeting these awesome bloggers. Some of the people that are on here today that I keep mentioning, I met online through blogging, which is pretty cool, and I consider them to be some of my best friends. So, Kaylin says, like, oh, she also likes thinking about it as a lifestyle. And guys, I'm gonna give a little shout out to some of my friends who are in here. If you're not following Creative Savings blog, that's Kaylin's blog. Lots of great tips about saving money. Please go check her out. Lauren at The Thinking Closet. You'll also want to check out Lauren's Periscopes. She's awesome, especially if you're into dancing. She did this really cool Periscope dance party on Monday night. I heard rumors that there may be another one coming up. So if you're not following Lauren, hop on that. And yes, Holly is another one of my online friends. Holly has a online paper / party goods store. Holly, give me your URL. It's mypapercrush.com, I think. Holly will tell us what her URL is. But again, if you're just like looking at pretty things, please check out her shop. I had the opportunity to actually meet Holly back in May at the National Stationery Show, which was really awesome to get to meet in person. Anyway, so that kind of like concludes my blogging journey and adventure, and the last part of it is really short. So last question for the group is, I know there are mypapercrush.com, so that's where you can find Holly's cool stuff. So last question. I know we already have some business owners here, so if you own your own business, give a little shout out as to what you do. I know I just kind of introduced 3 of them, but if you could have your own business, what would you want to do? And don't hold back. It can be throw out your most random riding elephants. It could be you want to be a window washer. Any random job that you've ever thought about doing, share it with the group. And if my sister Laura is still in here, I'm curious to see your answer because she just got her first job. Congratulations. Kara says paper crafting with punk and sass. Oh, I like to read that blog. Laura says event planner. Okay, I'm just curious to know where you think you want to end up. Sorry, I can't like read all these names, but stationery and calligraphy business. Also a great business to get into. I just started learning calligraphy. It's hard, but trucking through, but stationery business is awesome. Pretty paper, pretty fonts, can't go wrong. All right, so I'm gonna move into my last section because I don't wanna hold you guys hostage here much longer. So I kind of already talked about some of this stuff. Starting up my graphic design blog, I switched my name. My old blog used to just be called MichelleHickeyDesign.com, and I had a blog section on it. I ended up switching my name to Elegance Enchantment, which kind of like opens it up to be broader and not having to commit to blogging about design specifically. Oh, one other person says, set up a shop to sell scarves, clutches, and American... Oh my goodness. I'm obsessed with American Girl dolls. Well, not still, but I was as a kid. And they didn't have the store when I had my dolls when I was younger. So the first time I went into the store was as an adult, and I did not want to leave. It was like a museum. It was like all my dreams and my childhood had been like brought alive, and it was fantastic. Lauren says she had Kirsten. I had Samantha. Oh, someone says write a cookbook. That would be awesome. And Kaylin had Kirsten too. 2 Kirsten girls. Okay. I'm a Samantha girl. Not judging. Kirsten was my second favorite though. All right, so bonding moment. See, this is how you learn things about each other. You got to put yourself out there. So, talking about starting my business. I mean, my blog was my business, but my daughter is obsessed with American Girl dolls. What is the best website to start with? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by website. Do you mean like web hosting or blogging versus like a shop. For web hosting, I use Bluehost, and I will recommend them if that's what you're looking for. Oh, someone says American Girls weren't around when they were little. Yeah, they were awesome. I think my mom still has mine. I'm gonna have to get that from her if I remember. Hosting for a shop. Well, for a shop, I would recommend Etsy. That's where I sell my stationery on, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Shopify is another option that I'm like just starting to dip my toes into. So I'm working on redoing my website using Shopify. Holly, yeah, I was just going to ask. Holly uses Shopify. So if you go to Holly's website, mypapercrush.com, if I'm getting that right again, you can see how hers is set up. It's a beautiful site, and websites today are so much easier to set up than they used to be. My first website was using iWeb, which is like a free app that came on my Mac, and then I'm using WordPress right now for my blog, and then I have my Etsy shop for where I sell my stationery and paper goods. So if you have more questions, you can feel free to email me, Michelle, at eleganceenchantment.com. It's a really long name. I apologize about that. So it was around the time that we relocated from Connecticut to Florida, which was about 2 years ago, that, you know, my blog was like starting to take off finally. And I had kind of like stopped doing custom wedding invitations after we moved from Connecticut. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try out this Etsy thing. So basically I took all these designs that I've been creating over the last few years and just put them up for sale, and I put them up as printable downloads, which means that people could buy the file really cheap and then print it as many times as they need, which is like awesome. It's awesome for me because I don't have to deal with printers and things going wrong, and it's awesome for them because they pay almost nothing for it and they can use it as many times as they want. And I especially like it for wedding invitations are great because you have to print so many of them, and then things like art prints, which you can find tons of them in my shop. If you're not familiar with it, you can check everything out at you go on Etsy and just do a search for Enchanted Prints. That's the name of my store. Some of my stuff should come up. The best thing about art prints is you stick them in a frame, you give it as a gift, and you give them as gifts to everyone you know. That's what my mom and my sister have been doing anyway. Anytime, you know, they're a little more like last minute kind of people, and I am too. I'm in that group. They're really great when you realize that you hadn't gotten anyone anything and you could just download it, you get the file immediately, print it out, bring it to Staples, or I've even seen people bring them to Target or Walmart and just print it out like a photograph, stick it in a frame, can't even tell what it's printed on, and people get this like meaningful, special gift. So, go printables. So my Etsy shop kind of started, unlike my blog, which took 2 to 3 years to boot up, my Etsy shop started taking off right away. I was just kind of like floored that I could make money literally, you know, people say making money in your sleep. I was literally making money in my sleep. I had these listings up there that are instant downloads that people get right away, and I wake up and have all these alerts that I made sales in the middle of the night from, like, you know, Russia and crazy places around the world. So if anyone out there has ever thought about doing printables, I would highly recommend, but just having an Etsy shop in general, just put yourself out there. It doesn't really cost anything other than it costs you 20 cents for each listing you want to put up, but outside of that, there's no startup costs, which, you know, a lot of businesses fail in like the first year because they need to put up all this money to get their business running when, you know, with Etsy, I mean, say you have, you know, 10 or 20 listings, that's just a few dollars. I think everyone can like find a few dollars worth of money to get yourself started. So I ended up, after I opened my Etsy store, tried to integrate it more into my blog. I was trying to make them kind of like go together without going back to what I was talking about, what I learned from Crush It and from Cliff and Stephanie that, you know, I don't want to be this like sleazy salesperson. I just want to talk about what I'm doing, and if you're interested, you can learn more, but if not, totally fine too. So I started Motivation Mondays, which has been the most successful feature on my blog and also my favorite. So I know a lot of you already know what this is, so I apologize for repeating it, but every Monday I share an inspirational quote, something that speaks to me or that someone had shared with me or just something that I came across. I design it in a pretty way, or at least I try to, and getting lots of hearts for Motivation Monday. I share it with my audience for free. It's a free download, but it's for 1 week only, and then at the end of that week, it goes into my Etsy shop, and anyone who finds it after the fact would have to purchase it. But then I always give a link. There's always a new one that's free that's available. And bonus for subscribers, if there's any readers out here who aren't on my mailing list yet, you hop on my mailing list. Motivation Mondays are always free for you guys. I include them in my monthly newsletter, so you never have to worry about buying anything from me. So this kind of like system has been working really well for me. It allows me to give people like lots of free stuff. Motivation Monday launched my obsession with printables. Oh no! I guess I can like somewhat apologize for that, but it's also a good thing. But yeah, printables are so great. Lauren says get on my list. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, I promise I won't spam you with stuff. It's just, I mean, you'll get my posts in your inbox, but that's about it. And then a monthly newsletter. Yeah, so basically that's it. I mean, that's kind of how things have been going. Since then, things have kind of been like moving along a little bit better. I feel a lot more comfortable in what I'm doing. And I'm happy to say, for the first time, because we've been having this little bit of a competition going on, I'm making more money than my husband. So, knock on wood, that continues. Bragging rights. So, that's about it for today. If anyone else has any more questions, Lauren says, so inspiring. Wow, sorry. I felt like I should have maybe had some more to talk about there in the end about my business, but I'm kind of just blanking. It's been a little bit of a whirl. I guess one more thing to mention is that one of the things that really, Holly says she loves my newsletter. Thanks, Holly. One of the things that, I got a high five back, that have just made my business and my blog and my life better has been connecting with other people online. Some of these people that are here today are just so awesome. They make my life better. And if you're thinking about starting your own business, I would 100% recommend start with that. Even if you don't have a business yet, just do what we're doing here. Go online, meet new friends. The internet has made it so easy for you to connect with people that you really, have common passion and interest with. Going back to the TV show Lost, where it all started for me. So I'm gonna end on that note. Thanks so much. Oh, Holly said that's wonderful that you've done so well. Inspiring. You inspire me too, Holly. I love your stuff so much. Thanks so much, everyone. Oh, what are you using for today's show? I think you may mean the Periscope app. I think so. Yeah, if you guys are thinking about doing your own Periscopes, definitely go for it. Let me know, come friend me, and I'll friend you back, and I'll follow your stuff for sure. I love meeting new friends online, and I would definitely like to support you. So, Lori says, killed it. Thank you. Thanks for showing up, family representative. Just on your phone. Oh, yes. I'm just using my phone. And someone has a quick question. That's fine. Yes, Periscope only lets you broadcast from your phone. To my knowledge, you can't do anything yet on your computer. iPad maybe, but I haven't tried it yet. And it's super easy to use and set up. And basically, you can hold it. I had originally, I don't know if anyone saw my Instagram, but was thinking of doing this with a selfie stick, but I ended up finding, I'll flip my camera around so you can see my setup, this little stand, chalkboard stand, and that's what I have my phone propped up on. I'll give you a really quick peek. And then I have another little stand. I don't know if you saw that or not, but another little stand holding it up so I wasn't like angled weird. I literally spent like 15 minutes just sitting here trying to like get all this set up before I started. Do you feel like you have to be a graphic designer to have a stationery business? Absolutely not. Nope. If you have a passion for anything, you can do anything. I'm going to give you, how do you keep track and remember all the awesome fonts you buy on Design Fonts? I just use the fonts app that comes on my Mac. I know it's a lot of stationery businesses or graphic designers. Yeah, to that point, I'm going to give you a quote from that book, Crush It, that I mentioned in the beginning. Skills are cheap, passion is priceless. So, passion is most important. If you're really into something and you're going to be ready to pour your heart and soul into it, you can't fake that. Anybody can learn skills. So, look around online, on Skillshare, lynda.com. There are lots of places, even on Pinterest, where you can pick up graphic design tips, tricks for free if you really want to get into it. There are online courses, and basically just I learned like pretty much everything that I learned in what I do, other than, I mean, I know I had graphic design training, but when it came to blogging, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at all. Just look what other people are doing. Keep just, the more exposure you get, I think the better you become. So we'll end with that. I think that quote is like a perfect place to end this with. So thank you guys so much. It means a lot. Oh, you're very welcome. That's my favorite quote, I think, possibly of all time. It really means a lot that you're here today, and hopefully I'll do another one of these and start going through some of the other questions that were submitted in my my reader survey. And if you have any other questions for me, like the question about starting a stationery business, I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you want to know. You could shoot me an email, michelle@elegance-enchantment.com. Comment on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all my handles for that. I know it's confusing because this one I'm Michelle Hickey, but the other ones, it's @Enchantment Blog is where you can find me. And thanks so much for your support, girls. All right, till next time.